We are in our Ice Age area, and we have many bones of Ice Age creatures. So why did we have an Ice Age? Well, it was a result of the worldwide flood. So let's take a look at why we have a museum here. Our first major bone that was discovered after a fossil float, because we do take people down the river to do their own fossil hunting, well, we had a plumber that actually discovered this. This is a mammoth tusk, and this end over here is what he tripped over. Well, we found only a few years ago that there was a boy with his mother when he was around 6. They had started to uncover this bone in the banks of the Peace River. And, well, it was lunchtime. They went off to lunch and totally forgot about what they were digging. They didn't even know what it was. It was just a fun thing to do. Well, our plumber come along and he tripped over that end. And he goes, "Whoa, that's not a rotting log." So he started digging with his hands. Then he went and got a shovel. Then he went and got some people to help get this thing out, because it was a little bigger than what he expected. And this is why we have our museum, is because of this mammoth tusk. And let's take a look at that tusk. So here's your mammoth. He can be up to 13 feet, 14 feet at the height of his shoulders. So his head's a little higher, so he could be up to 17 feet high. But take a look at these tusks. Now this is only 1/3 of the length of the tusk. Tusks can be 13 feet long all by themselves. So we only have the piece of this mammoth tusk. So that was number 1 mammoth. Here we have is a jaw of a juvenile mammoth. The lower jaw, that's the part that moves, so go that is the lower jaw of a mammoth, and his teeth are totally different than yours. You have a baby tooth that gets pushed out by your adult tooth and it comes and fills that space in. Well, theirs are totally different. They actually push from the back and grow forward, and then, well, that baby tooth, that was the first one, gets spit out of his mouth because there's so much pressure on it. It's called the spit tooth. This could very well have been one of them. And when we go fossil hunting on the Peace River, I tell people look for things that look like Oreos. And why an Oreo? We all love them. So when you see something that looks like an Oreo, pick it up. It's definitely a flake of a mammoth tooth. You see all these ridges? The one that stands up is a very hard enamel, and the in-between is very softer. So it would flake in all these little pieces, and it would be layers of a light and a dark and a light and a dark, just like an Oreo. So when they find something like an Oreo, they go, "I've got a mammoth tooth." They know how to identify it. Before a fossil float, I teach those things. Now, with this mammoth, we have also Mastodon Elephant type creatures that we have fossils from, but their teeth are so totally different. And let's see, what does that compare to? Well, the mammoth teeth have the same kind of teeth as the Asian elephant, where it, like a conveyor belt, pushes forward. But the African elephant has teeth like the mastodon, which is a root that is pushed out by the adult tooth. It pushes it out like your teeth. Very cool? Well, here we have is the upper jaw of a baby mammoth. This is showing that our dig site actually had 3 mammoths. The mama, an adult, the juvenile that we just saw, and also a baby. So this jaw, you can see how very pristine the enamel is on this tooth here. And compare it to this one. We've already showed you the juvenile, which had nice ridges, but this one is the mama that has been rubbed down to, well, it's getting ready to do the exit as it pushes forward. But as we look at this, we have 3 mammoths of a herd going down by the water. getting a drink. There's no male. The males are usually surrounding the females and the babies and the juveniles as they go and get their drink. So something happened that was another catastrophe after the worldwide flood during the Ice Age. Well, Noah's flood started the Ice Age. We had lots of things. We have volcanic ash high in the atmosphere causing a cooling. And that cooling, well, it started snowing on the land and building up. Ice Age, well, it was a lot of glaciers just about covering all of Canada, northern parts, all the way down to the Ohio Valley in America. Wow, that is a big thing. So with these creatures, we have a Colombian mammoth. The Colombian mammoth is a little different than your woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth, they can handle the cold for a certain amount of time, but they do have to still migrate. But this one, he was already down in sunny Florida in the warmer weathers, because he was like your African elephant, not totally covered with hair like the woolly mammoth. But here we have part of a herd that got inundated by lots of sediment or wet dirt from an actual storm, like a tsunami, possibly during the Ice Age, came and dropped 15 feet of sand that was on top of this. Because we had very tall banks on top of this mammoth that we had to excavate over 3 years. It was a big endeavor. We have here some mammoth bones, the long leg bones. This one here is the femur of the mama, or the adult. That's a huge bone. You know how we can tell it is an adult? Because the bone has fused at the end. But this one is the juveniles. He happens to be very large for a juvenile. So he would have been one of the 17-foot high mammoths. But take a look at here where it isn't fused. That's because he's a juvenile. The juvenile bones, they don't always, it's for growth spurts. So he's a good example of a very large male mammoth. This is a replica of our adult femur that is right over there. It was made by Paul Schutz, and he did an excellent job. It's easy to carry. The other one, I cannot carry. It takes 2 people to carry that bone. But this one, we can bring it to all kinds of places, and kids get to hold it, and it is an awesome thing to have in our museum. We're looking here at 2 more long bones of a mammoth. One is the humerus, and this is of the juvenile because it isn't fused yet right here. But the other one, that is a tibia. The tibia of probably the adult, because their fusion has already been fused. So here we have the mammoth front leg, upper leg is the humerus, and that's what this one is. Where's your humerus? Well, it would be on your upper arm, your arms. He has legs, 4 legs. And then the tibia, where is your tibia? It's another word for a shin bone. So the shin bone is way down here on the lower portion of the back leg. It would be your legs, because you have 2 and they have 4. Here we have is our saber-toothed cat. It used to be called saber-toothed tiger, but when they found so many of these, literally thousands of complete skeletons in the La Brea tar pits, well, they did some comparative anatomy, and he's more like a cat than a tiger. But that's not a kitty cat, like meow. No, it's a lion. Roar. So he's like our big cats. So as we do some comparative anatomy, we have one of his teeth. It has a very nice sharp edge. So he has a very nice saber tooth that actually sticks outside of his mouth. And see, if you look at it, the white part that's the enamel part, that's the tooth, but the rest is the root. That's just about half of it. But look how it's embedded in the skull. It's not just in the jaw, it's embedded in a cavity in the skull. Very cool creature. Now, because they found so many of these creatures, they determined that they had to have been a pack animal with a pack of all of them working together for the common good to catch lots of prey, big prey, because you can't do that with just one saber-toothed cat. He could not take down a mammoth, but they could together as a pack. So they would do some ambush techniques. And one of the things that they found out with the La Brea tar pits is all those creatures in there, they found many with broken bones, leg bones, that had healed. Now, if you were a saber-toothed cat working on your own all by yourself, you could not have possibly have taken care of themselves if they were in that condition with a broken leg. But when the herd of mammoth, they bring out one that's all by itself. They go and ambush it and attack it. Now they have a mammoth. That's a huge creature with all their auntie and uncles and grandma. They could feed all their babies. Everybody got fed with one kill. So saber-toothed cats, they would do some pretty good ambushing, but these teeth, they're not really good for hitting bones, especially a large bone of a mammoth. But they could do a nice cut along the belly, drop all the guts, but they all have to work together to keep that mammoth, wear him out, keep him going crazy, and they would do it as a team. Here is the claw core of a giant ground sloth. Yes, a sloth. That's a pretty big claw. Giant nose pricker too. Oh yeah. Well, he had a special claw. He only had 3 toes on his front arms. And this is a retractable claw, like a cat. Kitty cat would go, you know, and then put him in because he wasn't mad at you at that time. But here he had this claw that would retract in, and he was so big, 18 feet high. He would just stand up on his hind legs and reach up for a branch and just bring it down and eat. Because all he ate was vegetables, leaves. That's all he ate. And he's like a giant hamster. He's a rodent. So I have some of his teeth. Let me show you. These are 2 of his teeth, and there's enamel on one side, and then the other side would just be a part that would wear down, just like rodents do. They keep chewing. As they chew, their teeth keep the nice length to be able to eat. But you see how he's got these 2 wedges that act like scissors to snip off the leaves from off the tree. And he was just an herbivore, wouldn't chase you, probably was pretty slow, very slow, just like the sloth that we have today. Remember Sid the sloth? Yeah, he wasn't a giant one, but he was very slow. Now this is a shark jaw, happens to be a bull shark. One of the things about a shark jaw is, well, all of his bones are made of cartilage. He's a cartilaginous fish. But if you look at the inside, you see these row upon row of teeth. They have some 266 teeth in any given jaw, or up to 270, depending on the species. Now, I'm going to do some comparative anatomy. Bull shark, his tooth is only about 3/4 of an inch. So for every inch of shark tooth was 10 foot of shark. He's about a 7-foot shark. Now let's compare. Here is a great white megalodon shark tooth. It's about 4.5 inches long. He's about a 45-foot shark. That's how big he is. Now imagine 266 of these teeth in a jaw. Wow, that would be one big jaw. Your whole family could sit inside of that jaw. Here is our Mammoth Dig Site. We have excavated lots of things since 1996. We took 4 years to do it. We had homeschoolers, we had kids, we had students, college students come and help us to excavate these things. We had almost 15 feet of sand banks of the river to excavate. And that was sometimes dangerous, but we had to stop when it was not able to do it anymore. And then we had the campgrounds. They actually excavated a whole bunch for us to make a boat ramp. And that made it so all we had to do was 1 foot. Very cool. Well, here we have vertebra, not all of the same one, but we got a lot of different vertebra, so it's in our dig site. Here's one of the axis, one of the parts, second vertebra from the head. And where the head rests is right on the atlas. But look at this, I can put my hand through here. So his spinal cord was as big as my arm. And kids love to put their hand in this one. I love to let them do it too. But let me put that back. Stay there. So we have things like chevrons. Chevrons are the things, it looks like a Y, doesn't it? It would go on the back of some of these vertebra. These have fallen off or broken off because fossils come broken on the river. Yep, it does. It's a catastrophe, you know. But that is one of the cool things. It's part of the vertebra. And we have ribs here. So here is one of the ribs. This one had to be extensively glued back together, but it's like a jigsaw puzzle when you're out there putting things together. It's a cool thing. So if you love jigsaw puzzles, you'll be a perfect paleontologist. We'd love to have you work with us. Then here, what do you think this bone is? Well, it's pretty big, but it's not a leg bone. It's not a bonehead. Oh, no, bonehead. Head bone. No, it is a toe bone of a mammoth. And there's the gliding joint. There's a little toe, and he's got another toe there, part of the foot bones. Oh, yeah. That's some big toe, isn't it? Yep. We find all kinds of wonderful things on the Peace River. Maybe you can come on a fossil float, too. Thank you for joining us this day. It was a wonderful time. We've learned so much, and there's so much more for you to come and see at our museum. Like the Deinonychus. Oh, he's a really cool part of our museum. So come on in and join us at our museum, Deerfield Beach. It's right around the corner. Go to our website, find out when we're open, usually on Saturdays. So come and join us.